The research station floated in the emptiness between stars. Outside the thick observation windows, the vault hung in the darkness like a piece of the night sky that had forgotten how to reflect light. Dr. Eliza Chen pressed her hand against the cold glass and stared at the massive black structure. It was 5 kilometers across, shaped like a perfect octagon, and absolutely silent. She had been on the station for 8 days now. 8 days of feeling completely useless. The other researchers barely looked at her when she walked through the corridors. The Arxians, tall and covered in silver scales, would turn their 4 eyes away when she approached. The Zerel, who looked like floating jellyfish made of crystal, simply drifted past her without acknowledgement. Even the Kethva, the insect-like species known for their politeness, only gave her the briefest clicks of greeting before returning to their work. Eliza understood why. Humanity had only been traveling between stars for 93 years. Most of these species had been studying the vault for longer than humans had known that faster-than-light travel was possible. To them, she was a child playing in a laboratory meant for experts. The vault had been discovered 847 years ago by an Arxian exploration vessel. Since then, every major civilization in the Galactic Council had tried to communicate with it. They sent radio waves, quantum signals, gravitational pulses, and mathematical equations. They tried every known language and every unknown frequency. The vault absorbed it all and gave nothing back. It just floated there, dark and silent, refusing to acknowledge that anyone was trying to reach it. Commander Thexal, the Arxian in charge of the research station, had made it clear that Eliza was only here because of politics. Earth had just joined the Galactic Council, and the Council wanted to show goodwill by including humans in important projects. But goodwill did not mean the aliens actually expected humans to contribute anything meaningful. Eliza had spent her first week reading through centuries of research reports. The data was overwhelming. The vault was old, impossibly old. Dating techniques suggested it was at least 3 million years old, built by a civilization that existed long before any of the current spacefaring species had even evolved. The material it was made from did not match anything in any database. It did not rust, did not decay, and did not respond to any kind of analysis. Every attempt to cut into it had failed. Energy weapons bounced off its surface. Diamond-tipped drills broke against it. Even quantum disruptors, which could tear apart atoms, left no mark on the vault's black exterior. On her 8th day, Eliza sat alone in the observation deck. It was late in the station's night cycle, and everyone else was either sleeping or working in other sections. She held a cup of coffee, one of the few things from Earth that she had brought with her, and stared out at the vault. She felt tired and frustrated. Back on Earth, she had been excited about this assignment. She was a xenoarchaeologist, someone who studied the ruins and artifacts of alien civilizations. Getting assigned to the Vault project should have been the opportunity of a lifetime. Instead, she spent her days reading old reports and trying to stay out of everyone's way. The coffee was cold now, but she took another sip anyway. She thought about her mentor, Professor Williams, who had trained her. He always said that the best way to understand something was to approach it without assumptions, to look at it with fresh eyes. Eliza set down her cup and looked at the vault. Fresh eyes. Everyone had been trying to communicate with it using advanced technology, complex mathematics, sophisticated signals. But what if that was the wrong approach? What if the beings who built the vault had not thought like modern spacefaring species? She felt silly even considering what she was about to do. But she was alone and no one was watching, and she had nothing to lose. Eliza stood up and walked closer to the window. She cleared her throat, feeling her heart beat faster with nervousness and the absurdity of what she was doing. "Hello," she said out loud. Her voice sounded small in the empty observation deck. "My name is Eliza. We've been trying to reach you for a very long time. I don't know if you can hear me or if anyone is even there anymore. But I wanted to introduce myself. I'm from Earth. We're new to all of this, to space travel and meeting other species. We probably seem very primitive to you if you're listening, but we're trying our best to understand." She paused, feeling foolish. She was talking to a giant piece of ancient metal floating in space. This was ridiculous. But then something happened. The vault changed. It started with a small ripple of light across its surface, like a drop of water falling into a still pond. Then another ripple and another. The black surface began to glow with soft blue and silver patterns, spreading across the entire structure like veins of light flowing through dark stone. Alarms exploded throughout the station. Eliza stumbled backward, her hand flying to her mouth. The vault was alive with light now, patterns and symbols flowing across its surface in waves. She had never seen anything so beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The door to the observation deck burst open. Commander Thexall rushed in, followed by a dozen other researchers. They ran to the control panels, their hands and claws and tentacles flying over instruments, checking readings, shouting to each other in their various languages. Energy output increasing by 300%. One researcher yelled. "Surface temperature stable, no signs of weapon charging," another called out. "The symbols, they're moving in patterns like a language." Commander Thexall turned all four of his eyes toward Eliza. His silver scales were standing up along his spine, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "What did you do?" he demanded. Eliza's mouth was dry. I just talked to it." "You talked to it?" Thexall repeated as if he had not heard correctly. "I spoke to it. Out loud, I used my voice." The commander stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned to one of the Zrel researchers. "Run acoustic analysis. Check for sound wave propagation over the last 5 minutes." The Zrel's crystalline body shimmered as it worked. After a moment, it pulsed with color, its species' way of showing surprise. "Commander, there were significant acoustic vibrations in the observation deck. Pressure waves through the atmosphere. Standard humanoid vocal range. Impossible." One of the Kethva researchers clicked. "We've tried every form of communication. Acoustic signals would be far too primitive, too limited." But as they argued, Eliza watched the vault. The patterns on its surface were slowing down, the light beginning to fade. It was going dark again. Without thinking, she spoke again. "Please, don't go. We want to understand you. We want to know who you were, who built you. Can you hear me?" The vault blazed bright again. Everyone in the observation deck fell silent. They all turned to look at Eliza, and she saw something in their faces that had not been there before. It was not respect, not yet, but it was no longer dismissal either. It was shock, confusion, and perhaps the beginning of wonder. Commander Thexall approached her slowly. "Dr. Chen," he said, his voice careful and measured. "I believe we need you to continue talking to our ancient friend." Eliza nodded, unable to speak. Her hands were shaking. Outside the window, the vault waited, glowing softly, ready to listen to the voice of someone who still knew how to speak. The next 3 weeks changed everything Eliza thought she knew about her place in the galaxy. Commander Thexall had immediately declared the observation deck restricted. Only essential personnel were allowed inside, and Eliza quickly learned that she had become essential in a way she never expected. Every day she spent hours in front of the window, talking to the vault while teams of scientists recorded every word, every response, every flicker of light on the ancient structure's surface. At first she felt awkward. What do you say to a 3-million-year-old artifact? She started with simple things. She introduced herself properly, told the vault about Earth, about humanity's history, about music and art, and the things that made her species unique. The vault responded to all of it, its surface glowing brighter with some topics, dimmer with others. But it only responded when Eliza spoke. The other researchers tried everything. The Arxians attempted to replicate her voice patterns using audio equipment. The Zrel tried to create pressure waves through controlled gas emissions. The Kethva even built a physical voice box designed to produce sounds identical to human speech. Nothing worked. When Eliza was not speaking, the vault went dark and silent. Dr. Ven, a Zrel scientist who specialized in ancient languages, floated beside Eliza during one of her sessions. The crystalline being pulsed with colors as it analyzed the data streaming in from the vault's responses. "I do not understand," Ven said through its translator device. "The acoustic signals you produce are not special. They are simple pressure waves, inefficient and limited by atmosphere. Any species with a vocal system could produce similar sounds." "Maybe it's not about the sounds themselves," Eliza suggested. She had been thinking about this a lot. Maybe it's about what the sounds represent. "Explain," Commander Thexall said from across the room. Eliza turned away from the window to face them. "All of your species have evolved beyond vocal communication. You use neural links, bioelectric fields, quantum entanglement. Those methods are faster, more efficient, and can work across vast distances. But humans still talk to each other. We still sing, we still shout, we still whisper. Even though we have radios and computers and quantum communicators, we never stopped using our voices for the important things. That is because you are a young species, one of the HFY researchers said, not unkindly. You will evolve beyond such limitations. Maybe, Eliza said. Or maybe we'll choose not to. Because there's something about speaking, about hearing another person's voice that matters to us. You can fake text, you can fake video, but a voice carries something real. Emotion, intent, truth. When someone speaks to you, really speaks to you, you know they're there. You feel them. The room went quiet. She could see the alien scientists processing this idea, trying to understand a concept that had no meaning in their advanced civilizations. Dr. Venn pulsed a deep purple, the Zrel equivalent of intense thought. You believe the vault was built by a species that valued acoustic communication as humans do? I think whoever built it wanted to make sure it only opened for someone who still understood that way of connecting, Eliza said. Someone who hadn't optimized the heart out of their communication. Over the following days, Eliza's theory proved more and more accurate. She discovered that the vault responded differently depending on how she spoke. When she read prepared statements in a flat, emotionless voice, the vault's responses were dim. When she spoke naturally with emotion and spontaneity, the responses were bright and complex. When she sang a simple melody, the entire structure lit up like a star. The breakthrough came on the 23rd day. Eliza had been talking to the vault about music, trying to explain what songs meant to humanity. She sang a few lines from an old folk song her grandmother had taught her, something about rivers and going home. As her voice echoed in the observation deck, the vault's surface began to change in a new way. The flowing patterns of light suddenly organized themselves into clear images. The research team gasped collectively as the vault's surface became like a giant screen, showing them pictures of another world. They saw cities that seemed to be made of crystal and sound, structures that curved and spiraled in impossible ways. They saw beings that looked almost like humans but taller and thinner, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. The beings were shown doing something strange. They stood in groups with their mouths open, and as they did, the world around them changed. Buildings grew. Plants bloomed. Water flowed upward. They're singing, Eliza whispered. They're changing reality with their voices. Dr. Venn's crystalline body shimmered with rapid color changes. This is impossible. Sound cannot manipulate matter at that level. The energy requirements would be astronomical. But the images continued. The vault showed them more and more of this ancient civilization. They saw art and science, families and celebrations all centered around the power of voice and sound. Then the images changed, showing something darker, a star growing dim. The civilization building something enormous in space, the vault itself. It's showing us who built it, Commander Thexall said quietly, and why. The images shifted again, showing the beings placing objects inside the vault. Records, artifacts, what looked like living tissue preserved in stasis. They were saving their culture, their history, their very genetic code. This was not just a monument. It was an ark. Then came the final image, and it made everyone in the observation deck go cold. The vault showed space itself, dark and empty. But in that darkness, something moved, something huge and wrong, made of metal and malevolence. Ships, but not like any ships the Galactic Council had ever seen. They moved through the cosmos like a plague, stopping at stars that showed signs of advanced civilization. And wherever they stopped, they left nothing behind. The images showed these machines arriving at the world of the singing beings. The world went dark. The civilization ended. But before it did, they finished the vault. They programmed it to hide, to wait, to stay silent until someone found it who would understand. Someone who still spoke with their voice, who still sang, who still believed that sound could carry meaning beyond mere data. The images faded. The vault's surface showed one last set of symbols, repeating over and over. Dr. Venn worked frantically, comparing the symbols to the patterns they had recorded over the past 3 weeks. It's a warning, Venn said finally, its voice modulator trembling. The machines are still out there. They hunt civilizations that make too much noise in space, that announce themselves with electromagnetic radiation and quantum signals. The beings who built the vault discovered this too late. And by activating the vault, Eliza said slowly, feeling ice in her stomach, we might have told those machines where to find us. Commander Thexall's scales stood up rigid along his spine. How long do we have? Dr. Venn worked the calculations. Its colors cycled through every shade of the spectrum before settling on black. the Zrel expression of fear. The vault's shielding has been degrading for 3 million years. When it activated, it may have been visible to any ship monitoring this region of space. If the machines still exist and if they are close enough to detect the signal, they could arrive in weeks. Or days, another researcher added quietly. The observation deck erupted in chaos. Researchers ran to communication stations, desperate to contact the Galactic Council. Alarms began to sound as the station went to alert status. In all the panic and fear, only Eliza remained still, staring out at the vault. It pulsed with a soft, steady light like a heartbeat. And somehow she knew it was not done telling them its secrets. The beings who built it had left a warning, yes. But they had also left something else. They had left a weapon, a way to fight, and it required a voice to activate. The Galactic Council arrived 5 days after the discovery of the warning. Their ships filled the space around the research station like a swarm of metal insects, each one representing a different species, a different agenda, a different opinion on what should be done about the vault. Eliza watched the council ships arrive from her quarters, feeling the weight of what she had unleashed. She had not slept well since learning about the machines. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the images the vault had shown them. Civilizations wiped clean from existence. Worlds left dark and silent. Commander Thexal knocked on her door early in the morning. His scales looked dull, a sign of exhaustion in Arxians. "The council wants to meet with you," he said. "They want to see the vault respond firsthand." The council chamber was crowded. Representatives from 15 different species filled the room, ranging from the massive Korthan, who looked like living mountains of stone, to the tiny Pixit, who were barely larger than Eliza's hand. They all turned to look at her when she entered, and she felt very small and very human under their collective gaze. Chancellor Mirazon, a Zrel who led the Galactic Council, floated at the center of the room. Her crystalline body pulsed with authoritative purple. "Dr. Chen, we have reviewed all the data from your interactions with the vault. We need you to access it again to learn everything it can teach us about these machines. Time may be limited." Eliza nodded and approached the observation window. The vault floated in the darkness beyond, waiting. She took a breath and spoke. "Hello again. Can you hear me?" The vault blazed with light. Around her she heard gasps and clicks and chitters of amazement from the council members who had never seen it active before. "We want to understand," Eliza continued. "The machines you warned us about, the ones that destroyed your civilization. Can you tell us more about them? Can you show us how to fight them?" The vault's surface rippled and changed. New images appeared, more detailed than before. They showed the machines up close, vast constructs of dark metal covered in sensors and weapons. The images revealed how they hunted, scanning space for the electromagnetic signatures of advanced civilizations. Radio waves, quantum communications, the energy outputs of fusion reactors, anything that announced the presence of intelligent life. But there was something else. The images showed the machines' weakness. They were designed to detect and defend against energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, quantum disruptors, all the tools of modern warfare. They had shields that could stop anything the current galactic civilizations might throw at them. But they were blind to acoustic signals. Not just insensitive to them, but actually unable to process them. The machines had optimized themselves so completely for detecting advanced technology that they had filtered out simple pressure waves as meaningless noise. "The beings who built you," Eliza said slowly, working through the implications. "They called themselves what? Do you have a name for them?" The vault showed a symbol, complex and beautiful. Dr. Venn, who was watching from nearby, quickly translated. "The word roughly means those who resonate, or the resonant ones. I suppose we could call them the Resonari." "The Resonari discovered the machine's weakness," Eliza said. "They learned how to fight with sound. Is that right?" The vault confirmed with a pulse of bright light. Chancellor Mirazon floated forward. "How is that possible? Sound requires a medium. It cannot travel through space. How could acoustic weapons affect machines operating in vacuum?" The vault showed them. The images revealed technology that seemed impossible, devices that could convert sound waves into gravitational waves, into ripples in space-time itself. The Resonari had learned to take the power of their voices and amplify it across dimensions, turning simple songs into forces that could tear matter apart at the quantum level. They built these weapons into the vault, Dr. Venn said, its colors swirling with excitement and fear. It is not just a museum. It is an arsenal. But there was a cost. The images showed clearly that these weapons required something the machines did not have and could not replicate. Multiple living beings working together, synchronizing their voices into complex harmonic patterns. It required cooperation, trust, and the willingness to blend individual sounds into collective harmony. The machines, being machines, could not create this. They could not sing together. The council chamber erupted into argument. Some species wanted to evacuate the region immediately, to abandon the vault and hope the machines would not find them. Others wanted to try to reverse engineer the Resonari weapons, to build mechanical versions that could be controlled by computers and artificial intelligence. But Eliza listened to the vault. She heard, in the patterns of light and the way the images flowed, that the weapons would not work that way. They required something organic, something alive, something that could feel and respond and adapt in real time. They required voices. "We need to learn to sing," Eliza said quietly. The chamber fell silent. Everyone turned to look at her. "The Resonari left us their weapons," she continued louder now. "But they only work if we use them the way they were meant to be used. With our voices, together. All of us." A Kethva representative made a series of sharp clicks. "Our species has not used vocal communication for 12,000 years. Our vocal organs have atrophied to vestigial organs. We communicate through scent and pheromones now." "The Korthan do not even have vocal cord," rumbled one of the massive stone-like beings. "We speak through vibrations in our bodies too low for most species to hear." "Then we'll adapt," Eliza said. "We'll find ways. The vault is showing us that this is possible, that the Resonari designed these systems to work with different types of beings. But we have to try. We have to be willing to use these weapons the way they were meant to be used." Chancellor Mirazon pulsed a deep, thoughtful blue. "And if we cannot? If our species are too different, too evolved beyond vocal communication, then we need humans," Commander Thexal said. Everyone turned to look at him. Humans still sing. They still use their voices for everything: communication, art, emotion, bonding. Dr. Chen's species may be young and primitive by our standards, but in this one way, they are exactly what we need. The implications of that statement spread through the chamber like a wave. For the first time in galactic history, the youngest and least advanced species had become the most important. Human voices might be the only thing that could save everyone. But there was another problem, one that Eliza had been thinking about since she first learned about the Resonari weapons. She raised her hand hesitantly. "There's something else. I'm just one person. One voice." The images showed the Resonari working in groups, hundreds or thousands of them together. "Even if every human in the galaxy came here, we only have a few thousand people on colony worlds. That might not be enough." Dr. Venn's color shifted to match Eliza's concern. She is correct. The Resonari weapons require massive harmonic coordination. The images suggest they needed millions of voices working in perfect synchronization. "Then we contact Earth," Thexal said simply. "Your homeworld has billions of humans, does it not?" "Yes, but Earth is 50 light years away," Eliza said. "Even with quantum communication, there's lag time. How can people on Earth coordinate with us here in real time?" The vault pulsed suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. New images appeared, showing technology that made several of the council scientists gasp. The Resonari had built something into the vault, a system that could amplify and broadcast acoustic patterns across vast distances instantaneously, using the same principles that allowed their weapons to affect matter through gravitational waves. "It's a quantum acoustic relay," Dr. Venn said, its voice full of wonder. "They can transmit sound across space as if there were no distance at all. If we could activate this system, humans on Earth could sing with us here, their voices arriving in perfect synchronization." For the first time since the warning, Eliza felt hope. It was possible. Difficult, perhaps impossible to coordinate, but possible. If humanity could come together, if billions of people could sing in harmony across the stars, they might have a chance. But first, they had to convince Earth that this was not a joke or a hoax. They had to make billions of people understand that their voices, their simple human voices, were now the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, and they had to do it before the machines arrived. The message reached Earth 3 days later. It took another day for the world governments to stop laughing and start listening. Eliza stood in the communication center of the research station, watching the video feeds from Earth with a mixture of frustration and understanding. She could see why they did not believe it at first. The message sounded insane. An ancient alien weapon that required people to sing at it, harvester machines that destroyed civilizations, humanity's voices being the key to saving the galaxy. It sounded like bad science fiction, but Commander Thexol had been smart. He did not just send a message. He sent proof. Video of the vault activating, detailed scans showing its impossible age, recordings of Eliza's interactions with it, and most importantly, testimony from every species in the Galactic Council confirming that this was real, urgent, and humanity's participation was essential. The President of the United Earth Government appeared on the main screen, her face showing the strain of the past few days. Dr. Chen, we need you to understand the scope of what you're asking. You want billions of people to stop what they're doing and sing together. We don't have any framework for organizing something like that. We don't even know what they should sing. It doesn't matter what they sing, Eliza explained. She had been studying the Resonari technology with Dr. Ven. The vault will coordinate it. It will take millions of individual voices and weave them together into the harmonic patterns needed. People just need to sing, to use their voices with intention and emotion. Songs they know, songs they love, anything that comes from their hearts. What if people don't participate? Asked another Earth official. We can't force billions of people to sing on command. Then we all die, Chancellor Mirazone said bluntly from beside Eliza. The Zrel's crystalline body pulsed with dark colors. The machines will arrive here first, but they will not stop with us. They will spread through the galaxy, following the quantum communications and electromagnetic signatures back to every civilized world. Eventually they will reach Earth. Better to fight now together than to face them alone later. The President closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them again, Eliza saw determination there. We'll do it. I'll contact every government, every media network, every social platform. We'll get the message out. But Dr. Chen, you need to give us something. A demonstration. Show Earth what their voices can do. Eliza looked at Commander Thexol, who nodded. They had expected this request. We can activate one of the vault's smaller systems, Eliza said. A test run. But we'll need at least a few million people to make it visible. Give us 6 hours, the President said. We'll organize a global broadcast. Every channel, every screen. We'll ask people to sing at exactly the same moment. The 6 hours felt like 6 years. While Earth organized its unprecedented global event, the research station prepared for the test. The Council scientists worked frantically to set up sensors and recording equipment. They needed to document everything, to prove that this was real, to show that human voices could actually affect the physical world. But there was another problem, one that Eliza had been trying not to think about. While they prepared for the test, other things were happening on the station, things that made her nervous and afraid. Not everyone in the Galactic Council supported this plan. Some species saw humanity's sudden importance as a threat to the established order. Others questioned whether the Resonari weapons would even work, or if activating them might draw the machines even faster. And a few had darker concerns. If humans controlled the only weapons that could stop the machines, what would happen after the machines were defeated? Would Earth become the dominant power in the galaxy? Eliza had noticed the looks, the whispered conversations that stopped when she entered a room, the way certain council representatives avoided meeting her eyes. Commander Thexol had assigned guards to watch her door at night, though he never explained why. She did not ask. She did not want to know. The attempted assassination came an hour before the test. Eliza was in her quarters trying to rest before the global broadcast, when her door suddenly unlocked. She sat up as 3 figures entered, wearing unmarked environmental suits that hid their species. They moved quickly, professionally. Nothing personal, human, one of them said through a modulator that disguised their voice. But your species is too dangerous to be given this much power. Better that the vault remain closed. Better that we evacuate and hope the machines don't find us, than risk making humanity the rulers of the galaxy. Eliza opened her mouth to scream, but one of the figures raised a device that emitted a sound too high for her to hear. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. She fell from her bed, clutching her head, unable to make any noise. They approached her with something that looked like a medical injector. A tragic accident, the voice said. Stress-induced cardiac failure. You pushed yourself too hard trying to save everyone. Very heroic. Very sad. The door exploded inward. Commander Thexal burst through, moving faster than Eliza had ever seen an Arxian move. His scales were fully extended, making him look twice his normal size, and his 4 eyes blazed with rage. Behind him came station security, armed with stun weapons. The fight was brief and brutal. The assassins tried to fight back, but they were researchers, not warriors. Within minutes, all 3 were subdued and restrained. Commander Thexal rushed to Eliza, helping her sit up, checking her for injuries. "I'm okay," she managed to say, though her head still throbbed. "How did you know?" "I suspected someone would try something," Thexal said grimly. "I had security monitoring all approaches to your quarters. I just wish I had acted sooner." He looked at the captured assassins with disgust. "Take them to the brig. The council will deal with them later." As security dragged the assassins away, Eliza felt her hands shaking. She had known that some aliens resented humanity's new importance, but she had not realized it went this far. Someone had been willing to kill her, willing to doom the galaxy just to keep humans from becoming powerful. "Why?" she asked quietly. "Why would they risk everyone's lives?" Thexal's scales slowly lowered to their normal position. "Fear," he said simply. "Fear of change. Fear of losing power. Fear of a universe where the youngest species suddenly becomes the most important. It is not logical, but fear rarely is." He helped her to her feet. "But there are more of us who believe in this plan than those who oppose it. More who are willing to trust humanity, to work together than those who would rather see us all destroyed than share power. You must remember that in the days ahead. Not everyone will be your friend, but most of us will be your allies." Eliza nodded, trying to steady her breathing. "The test. We still have the test in 45 minutes. Can you do it?" Thexal asked with concern in his voice. She thought about the assassins, about the fear and hatred she had seen. But she also thought about the images the vault had shown her, of the Resonari civilization destroyed by the machines. She thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who were preparing to sing together for the first time in history. She thought about what was at stake. "Yes," she said, "I can do it. I have to." They made their way to the observation deck. The rest of the council was already there, watching nervously. On the screens, Earth's global broadcast was beginning. Eliza could see crowds gathering in cities all over the world, people looking up at screens and listening to the instructions. Sing together. Sing with hope. Sing to show the universe that humanity was ready to use their voices for something greater than themselves. The president of Earth appeared on the main feed. "People of Earth," she said, her voice steady and strong. "Today we add our voices to the chorus of the galaxy. Today we show what humanity can do when we work together. Today we sing not just for ourselves, but for all life in the universe. Are you ready?" On the screen, Eliza saw millions of faces, young and old, from every nation and culture. They were ready. "Then let us begin," the president said. "Sing from your hearts. Sing for hope. Sing for life. Sing together." The sound that came through the quantum relay was unlike anything Eliza had ever heard. Millions of voices singing different songs in different languages, somehow all blending together into a harmony that made her eyes fill with tears. It was beautiful and chaotic and perfectly human. She turned to the vault and added her own voice to the chorus. "Can you hear them?" she called out. "Can you hear Earth singing?" The vault exploded with light, not just glowing, but brilliant, blazing, filling the observation deck with colors that did not have names. The acoustic relay activated, and suddenly the entire structure was vibrating with the power of millions of human voices reaching across 50 light-years of space, as if the distance did not exist at all. And then something impossible happened. A beam of pure harmonic energy shot out from the vault, targeting a small asteroid several thousand kilometers away. The asteroid simply stopped existing, not destroyed but unmade, its atoms pulled apart by gravitational waves shaped by human voices. The observation deck went silent. Even the singing stopped as people on Earth saw what their voices had done. Eliza felt tears streaming down her face. It worked. It actually worked. Human voices had just become the most powerful force in the galaxy. Now they just had to hope it would be enough when the machines arrived. The machines arrived 6 days later, appearing at the edge of the system like a cancer spreading across the stars. Eliza was in the observation deck when the first alarm sounded. She had barely left the room since the successful test, spending her time working with Dr. Venn and the other scientists to understand the Resonari weapon systems. They had learned so much in such a short time, but looking at the sensor readings now, she wondered if it would be enough. 57 distinct vessels detected, one of the technicians reported, her voice tight with fear. No, wait, 73 more appearing every minute. They're using some kind of jump technology we can't track. Commander Thexal studied the tactical displays with all 4 of his eyes. Their formation pattern matches what the vault showed us. They're surrounding the system, cutting off escape routes. This is how they hunted the Resonari. Eliza watched the dark shapes moving on the screens. The machines looked exactly like the images the vault had shown. Massive constructs of black metal, bristling with sensors and weapons, moving with a precision that no living crew could match. They were beautiful in a terrible way, perfect killing instruments refined over millions of years. How long until they reach us? Chancellor Mirazon asked. Vizrel's crystalline body had gone completely colorless, a sign of extreme stress in her species. At their current speed, approximately 4 hours, came the answer. 4 hours. They had 4 hours to organize the greatest coordinated effort in galactic history. The command center became organized chaos. Council ships positioned themselves in defensive formations, though everyone knew their weapons would be useless. Transport vessels began evacuating non-essential personnel from the station. And on every world, every colony, every station in Council space, people prepared to add their voices to the defense. But the focus was on Earth. Humanity's homeworld had 7 billion people, more than all the Council worlds combined. If the Resonari weapons were going to work, if they were going to generate enough power to fight back, they needed Earth fully committed. The president appeared on the communication screens, her face drawn but determined. Dr. Chen, Earth is ready. We've organized billions of people into coordinated groups. Every school, every workplace, every community center is participating. We have translators standing by to help teach people the harmonic patterns the vault needs. Just tell us what to do. Eliza felt the weight of 7 billion lives depending on her next words. She took a deep breath and spoke clearly. We need everyone to sing together. The vault will coordinate the patterns, but people need to give it their voices willingly, with hope and determination. This isn't just about making sound. It's about showing the universe that we refuse to be silent, that we refuse to be erased. On Earth, the preparations were staggering to watch. In New York, millions of people gathered in the streets. In Beijing, schools and factories emptied as people came together. In Mumbai, Lagos, São Paulo, Tokyo, London, Sydney, every major city and small town organized their populations. They set up speakers and screens, connected to the quantum relay that would carry their voices across the stars. But Eliza knew Earth was not enough. The other council species had to participate too. She turned to face the assembled representatives. Your people need to join us. I know most of you can't sing the way humans do, but the vault has shown us that it can work with any kind of vocalization, any kind of sound produced by living beings. The Korthan can hum with their body vibrations. The Kethva can create rhythmic clicks. Even the species with vestigial vocal organs can make some kind of sound. We need everyone. A long silence followed. Then one of the Korthan representatives, a massive being named Stone Singer in Twilight, rumbled forward. My people will sing, she said, her voice so low it was felt more than heard. We remember songs from before we went to space, old harmonies we thought we had lost. We will remember them again. One by one, the other species agreed, some reluctantly, some enthusiastically, but all of them choosing to stand together rather than face destruction separately. The machines continued their approach. 3 hours now. The council ships sent probes ahead, trying to learn anything about the enemy that might help. The probes never came back. The machines destroyed them with precision strikes. Waste heat the only sign they had bothered to notice the intrusion. Dr. Venn had been working frantically with the vault, learning how to activate the full weapons array. The Zrel floated to Eliza, colors swirling with urgency. I believe I understand the activation sequence, Venn said. But there is something you must know. The vault's weapons are powerful, but they require sustained coordination. We cannot simply fire once and hope for the best. We must maintain the harmonic patterns continuously, potentially for hours. If the coordination breaks, if people stop singing, the weapons will fail and we will be defenseless. Hours, Eliza repeated, feeling her stomach drop. Can people on Earth sing for hours? They will have to, Commander Thexal said grimly. Or we all die. 2 hours remained. The machines were close enough now that they could be seen with optical sensors, dark shapes against the stars. The council ships reported that the machines were scanning them, analyzing their defensive capabilities, categorizing threats. But interestingly, they showed no reaction to the vault itself. To the machine's advanced sensors, the vault probably looked like a dead rock, an inert piece of debris. They could not detect its true nature because they filtered out acoustic signatures as meaningless. That blindness was humanity's only advantage. 1 hour. The tension on the station was unbearable. Eliza stood at the observation window looking out at the vault and beyond it, at the approaching fleet of extinction. She thought about her grandmother, who had taught her that old folk song. She thought about Professor Williams, who had told her to approach problems with fresh eyes. She thought about every human on Earth, preparing to sing together for the first time in history. She thought about the Resonari, who had fought this same battle 3 million years ago and lost. But they had left behind hope. They had left behind a weapon for someone who would still remember how to sing. 10 minutes, a technician called out. The machines are charging their weapons. They'll be in range in 7 minutes. Chancellor Mirazon floated beside Eliza. Dr. Chen, whenever you are ready. The fate of the galaxy rests in your voice. Eliza picked up the communicator that connected her to Earth, to every council world, to billions of living beings across dozens of systems. Her hand was steady. She had been terrified a week ago, a month ago, but now, standing at the edge of oblivion with the weight of civilizations on her shoulders, she felt calm. This was what she was meant to do. People of Earth, she said. People of the galaxy. The machines are here, but we are not going to run. We are not going to hide. We are going to show them that life, real life with all its messy, beautiful, imperfect voices, is stronger than their cold perfection. We are going to sing. She turned to the vault. Activate the weapon systems. Coordinate all incoming acoustic signals. Prepare to show these machines what they've forgotten in their millions of years of hunting. That the universe is not silent, that life makes noise, and that our voices can shake the very foundations of reality. The vault blazed with light, brighter than ever before. Energy readings spiked across every sensor on the station. The acoustic relay activated, connecting Earth, the council worlds, and the research station into one vast network of living voices. And then, billions of beings began to sing. The sound that poured through the relay was indescribable. Humans singing in 1,000 languages, songs old and new, folk melodies and modern compositions all blending together, the deep rumbles of the Korthan vibrating through stone bodies, the crystalline chimes of the Zerel creating harmonics that made the air shimmer, the sharp rhythmic clicks of the Kethva, precise as drums, the howls, chirps, hums, and calls of 100 different species, each adding their unique voice to the chorus. The vault took all of it, every single voice, and wove them together into something greater than any one species could create. It transformed acoustic signals into gravitational waves, into ripples in the fabric of space-time itself, and it aimed that power at the approaching machines. The effect was immediate and devastating. The lead machines simply stopped, frozen in space as the harmonic waves washed over them. Their hulls began to vibrate at quantum frequencies they could not shield against, because they had never been programmed to recognize such attacks as possible. Metal screamed. Sensors exploded. Weapon systems failed, but the machines adapted quickly. They were learning, adjusting, trying to filter out the new threat. A few of them managed to fire back, launching missiles and energy beams at the council ships. The ship's shields held for a moment, then began to fail. We're not generating enough power, Dr. Venn shouted over the chaos. We need more voices, more coordination. Eliza grabbed the communicator. Earth, I need more from you. I need everything you have. Sing like your lives depend on it, because they do. Sing like you've never sung before.